You know, I have a plan for today's show. I'm going to break the format a bit because I'm going to do a battle of the budget amplifiers. Now, the actual review for today's show is the Emotiva BasX A2M integrated amp. Now, here's the thing. About a week ago, exactly a week ago, I reviewed the Dayton HTA100 hybrid integrated amplifier. How budget are they? Glad you asked. The HTA100 is $230, and this one, the A2M, is $279. Now they're both not Class D, they're both Class AB designs. That's pretty special for a budget amp. They share that in common. They're both pretty darn compact. The A2M is a mere 8¼ inches wide, 14 inches deep, so it'll easily fit on a desktop to drive your passive speakers, and also it has a headphone jack. I'll get to that soon enough. So anyway, that's that one. And meanwhile, the HTA isn't that much bigger. It's 10½ inches wide, so they're both pretty darn small. As for power output, the A2M delivers 50 watts a channel into 8 ohms, 90 watts a channel into 4 ohms, while the HTA100 only has a 4 ohm spec, and it is 50 watts a channel into 4 ohms for the HTA100. So it's about half as powerful as the A2M. The A2M is an integrated amplifier. It has a volume control, but you can bypass that volume control with a switch on the rear panel, and then it becomes basically just a straight power amp. And if you have a source that has an output, variable output, you could use the A2M strictly as a power amplifier, or you could use it with a preamplifier. So it's versatile in that way that the HTA100 is not. So let's take a look at the A2M's rear panel, and you will see, yes, it has just one set of RCA inputs, which could be a limiting factor for many buyers. Oh, and by the way, it doesn't have a remote control, but then again, neither does the HTA100. If you want an Emotiva with lots of inputs and, of course, a remote control and a lot of other features, you can consider the Emotiva TA1, and that one is $599. But as for the A2M, I still think of this one as an overachieving budget amplifier that would be the right fit for some buyers. There's a 3-year warranty, and yes, folks, there will be an audiophiliac viewer system of the day later on in today's show. Now, that volume control on the A2M I think is pretty special. First of all, it's metal. It's a knurled metal knob. Feels really good. Great knob feel. But here's the catch. There's no display on the A2M, so you have no idea what the volume level is set at, because there's no display, and the volume control will give you the position of the volume control will give you no indication. Is it loud? Is it soft? You don't know until you start playing music. The headphone jack on the front panel is a full-size jack. It's a 1/4 inch connector, which is what you'd find on many home headphones. I don't like preamps and integrated amps with tiny 3.5 millimeter connectors. This one is the full-size 1/4 inch or 6.3 millimeters, which I definitely appreciate. But what's really special about the A2M's abilities as a headphone amplifier is that it's actually using the power amp section of this review that would normally drive speakers. Now, it is dropped down with dropping resistors to make it safe to use with any headphone, but it is an unusually good sounding headphone amplifier, way better than average in an integrated amplifier, because it is using the actual power amp that drives speakers. Now, as for the speakers used over the course of this review, there were 3. The ELAC Unify Reference, I haven't talked about it enough lately, so I feel like I got to give it some love. Also, of course, the Magnepan LRS Plus, which is a very tough to drive speaker, which is also why it's here. And at the other end of the spectrum, the Klipsch RP600M, which is a horn speaker, which is actually very easy to drive. So 3 flavors of speakers. And as for a comparison amplifier, I select the Denon PMA 600NE, which is $499. So it's way outclassed in terms of price, but the power rating on the Denon is 45 watts a channel into 8 ohms, which is a little bit less than this one, and that one, the Denon, has no power rating at all for 4 ohm speakers, of which there are many. When I do speaker reviews, I'm always talking about this speaker is rated at 4 ohms, make sure your amplifier is happy driving 4 ohms, and in this case, yes, the A2M can do it, and that's why I use it with the LRS Plus. Let me show you a picture of the inside of the A2M, and you will note that there is a fan back there. Yeah, and that fan isn't the quietest fan ever. It's actually audible from across the room when I wasn't playing music. Once music is playing, I couldn't detect the fan, but I will say, yes, it does make some noise, and it is a bit noisier than the fan in the Dayton Audio HTA100, which is also fan-cooled, but that one was quieter. To get the ball rolling, I started with the ELAC Unify reference speakers, and I was playing Lucinda Williams' amazing records, Car Wheels on a Gravel Road. That was from 1998, and the first amp I played was the HTA100. And I gotta say, it sounds like the band is playing together live in the studio. There's a lot of energy there. But the one thing I noticed, which has nothing to do with the HT100, is that it really does sound like Lucinda's vocals are overdubbed. I don't know that they are. In other words, she wasn't singing live with the band in the final mix. And that was evident, and that's fine because it's such a great vocal performance. You really feel like she's putting her heart and soul into these performances. It's just spine-tingling how great this record is. Regardless of the system you play it on, it's always going to be amazing. But when I went from the HTA100 to the A2M, I felt the sound shifted to be darker, warmer, fuller, more, in that sense, I don't mean it literally, but more analog. I was playing a CD. But, you know, it just had more oomph to the sound with the A2M. Soundstage depth and spaciousness over these amazing Unify reference speakers was better with the A2M than it was over the HTA100. The next comparison between HTA100 and A2M, I was using the Magnapan LRS Plus speakers, and I was playing this live acoustic Grateful Dead CD. By the way, the CD player for everything was the Oppo UDP-203 Blu-ray player, but I was using it as a CD player, and I was using the analog outputs of that player for all of the listening tests. So anyway, I'm playing this music, and the HTA100 sounded a little brighter, and in that sense, clearer over the LRS Plus, but the A2M, well, by comparison, was darker, but fuller, richer, more in control. But I will say the imaging just opened up more over the A2M. It expanded a bit, and I could hear each instrument in the soundstage and each vocal as a separate entity, and the HTA100 blurred them together a bit. And yes, because of the power difference, that the A2M was a more powerful amplifier, I could play the LRS Plus louder with no strain compared to the HTA100. When I played that loud, I could definitely feel it working hard. Definitely did. So after the LRS, I wanted to give both amplifiers a break. So I used the Klipsch RP600M Mark II speakers, and I played this Billie Eilish album. Wow. First of all, this album is really cool. This was the one that made me take notice of her. And the bass is over the RP600M with the HTA100. It went deep. It was powerful. I mean, it was just like crazy how much bass was coming out of the RP600Ms. Really, really impressive. So yeah, this is a very easy to drive speaker, but even so, switching over from the HTA100 to the A2M, the bass control of the speakers definitely tightened up with the A2M. The HTA100 was powerful sounding, actually very powerful sounding, but not as well controlled as the A2M. So at this point I wanted to compare the A2M with the Denon PMA 600NE. Now that's also an integrated amplifier. And I played this David Bowie record. It's actually the SACD version of Let's Dance. And the PMA 600 sounded, well, kind of lackluster. I mean, this music, this rhythm section, Bowie's rhythm section on this record is phenomenal. It's like, this is high energy music. And the Denon was kind of making it sound a tad sluggish. And switching over to the A2M, things definitely livened up. I was like grooving to the music a lot more with the A2M. So this wasn't so much a question of how loud each of them played. They both played plenty loud over the ELAC Unify reference. It was just a matter of, just call it rhythm and pace. And the A2M just had more spring in its step. After that, I wanted to listen again to Bowie, but this time with the headphone jack on the A2M with these Sennheiser's HD6XX headphones. Not the easiest to drive headphones, not the toughest by any stretch, but a challenge. And I was playing Bowie again. And man, just hearing that mix over headphone, the way it just opened up, I would not say this is a live in the studio kind of sound mix on this record, but it's fun. I mean, it was really well crafted to just engage you. And I was getting that with the Sennheiser headphones and the A2M. Okay, you can feel it, right? You can feel it coming. Yes. So Steve, what do you really think? What do you really think of the Emotiva BasX A2M integrated amplifier? I think it's special. You know, it's not for everybody because if it's not having a remote and not having the greatest connectivity, that will rule it out for some. But if you're just interested in maximizing sound quality for $279 with easy to drive speakers, hard to drive speakers, this one deserves serious consideration. I think it's a honey. And the fact that it's compact, yeah, and it makes sense. And maybe just for desktop use with passive desktop speakers, it's all part of the mix. And now it is time for the next segment, which is, of course, you know it, you love it, the Audiophiliac Viewer System of the Day. This one comes from Daniel. He lives in Edinburgh in Scotland. His turntable is a Riga P8 with a Riga Apfeta 3 cartridge. Then there's a Gold Note PH10, that's the phono preamp, with a PSU 10. And then there's a Moon 340iX, and the speakers are Dyne Audio Special 40s, and the sub is a Rel T7X. For digital, it's a Ropey PI4 that runs USB into the topping D10S, into the optical out, into a Meridian G68 ADV, and the power amp is a Moon 340iX. Thank you, Daniel. Okay, we are back. My name is Steve Guttenberg, and I am the Audiophiliac, and as I've been saying a lot lately, accept no substitutes. There are fake, amazing, there are fake Steve Guttenbergs out there scamming my viewers. So the only time you will ever hear me ask for any money is when I do this. Please consider joining my Patreon. To do so, super easy. The address is on the screen right now. Check out the page, see what you think. I would really appreciate your support. If you like a video, and hopefully you like this one since you've gotten this far, please hit that like button. And if you have yet to join, or subscribe I should say, please hit the subscribe button right now. It's right down there. Is it? I always get confused. That's sorry. Anyway, it's right there. Just hit it and become a part of this exclusive club of audiophiles from all over the world that meet here on this channel. And with that, I can say my work here is at last complete. Thank you again for watching, and I really, really do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye.